Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 1 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strangebro Jim. And let's see, today we got another topic to continue with on the Pega Academy, as well as the um, module quiz to finish today. And then we have some more Unreal tutorials, documentation to study after that. We got some videos to upload and make public um, the hour after that. And then, of course, at the very tail end of everything tonight, we are going to be playing some Warframe. So, that's the agenda for today's stream. Now, for those of you that are just kind of watching for the Pega study session, Pega certification, you know, um, thank you for sticking with this series. Thank you for continuing to, continuing to push through. I know that it can be kind of difficult, um, trying to uh, tackle something, you know, especially if you don't really have a whole lot of support with you. I know how difficult it can be sometimes trying to do something on your own. Hopefully you do have some support, whether it's, you know, um, just a little bit, here and there, even if it's someone just saying, uh, being on the sidelines, just kind of cheering you on. It's still, you know, it it's still very helpful. So, um, and for the, if you're watching this video, know that, hey, I'm there. I'm doing these videos, not only for myself, but for those of you that are also trying to work through it as well. So, um, we'll get through this. So, but who am I? What am I doing? What am I making these videos for? And so on and so forth. So, uh, a little bit about me. I am currently an unemployed software developer whose last job was working with the Pega environment. Been searching for any kind of work in the software development field, but I know that if I want a job in the, working with the Pega environment, I'm going to need that certification. Not many places will offer to train you nowadays, um, so that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm taking this time out of my day to continue doing these self studies, doing these, looking at these topics, looking at these challenges, and trying to get to a point where, I'll be able to take on, you know, do the certification, pass it, and then put it on my resume so that I can get, try to get a job. Um, so um, I'm hoping that, these will also help you out as well. Now, there's going to be some questions that I'm going to have during this experience. I'm not really going to understand everything right away, so I'm hoping that, members of the Pega community, veterans, seniors, so on and so forth, will come, find these videos and help me out. But in so doing, helping me out, maybe they'll help you out as well. So I encourage anybody to kind of go through these videos and help me answer my questions. Put a comment down on these videos and let me know if I'm, you know, if I'm kind of screwing up or something along those lines. So, um, so, um, hopefully that will find, you'll find some use out of them yourself, as well. So, um, So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Now, um, just know that, I'm not an authorized training partner, and this is not meant for an instructor-led training. Don't think of me as such. I'm working on getting my system architect certification, much like anybody else. So I might not be able to answer every single question if you have any, but I will at the very least, ask my previous coworkers, if they have the answer for you. So don't feel, um, if you have a question, feel free to post it. You know, if you have, questions concerning the Pega Academy, feel free to post it in the comments or, right now in the chat, and I will try to my best to answer it as best as I can. Um, so, um, uh, already, I haven't really talked about, why I didn't get my certification before, but I've already talked about it that, you know, plenty of times through my previous videos. I mean, you could probably look that up if you really want to. Um, so let's just go right into the dashboard here, and I'll talk a little bit more about what we've already covered. So, if you're looking for the business architect, or you're working towards your business architect certification, and you're watching this video right now, well, I've already covered it all. These two missions and these two modules, I've already covered every single last one of those in previous videos. You can look on my playlist for them. So if if your main goal is the business architect certification, then I would recommend going through all those videos and studying with me, for these two missions and these two modules. But I will note, I'll tell you, these two modules here covers the Pega Express delivery, and I would recommend that you go through the Pega Express delivery in your own time. I'll probably not cover it myself personally, because my main goal isn't the business architect. Um, I don't really have any interest in doing the business architect. My interest is the system architect. So that's where my main goal is. Um, that's what I want to complete. That's what I want to earn, So we're going to continue working towards that. So, um, so yeah. Let's get into that, shall we? Um, now I now I'm currently covering 8.7, because 8.7's been translated, So if anybody from, you know, other parts of the world that might understand, you know, my speaking English but might not be able to read English, they can at least try to follow along with these other translations. So I hope that helps you in some way or not. So, um, still haven't received an email response about the localizing UI form. I'll let you know when and if I do get a response. Well, I hope I get a response. It'd be quite irritating if I don't, but not much I can really do about it right at this moment in time. Um, So we covered application access yesterday. We're going to be going into access control today, and then of course the module quiz afterwards. So let's get into it, shall we? So for access control, Pega Platform provides an access manager to simplify this configuration of security records. Access Manager presents you with an easy-to-use interface for managing application security. With Access Manager, you can quickly set or remove permissions for basic tasks, such as creating a case, deleting a case, or running reports. You can set permissions for the access roles associated with a particular access group. Well, that doesn't mean crap, apparently, according to your last. Why even bother setting permissions for access roles when it doesn't really matter? If you're in a access group, everybody in that group is going to get this best role, best permissions. So what's the point? Just, huh? Okay, whatever. Um, as a best practice, when possible, use the access manager instead of modifying the access role to object or access deny rule form permission settings directly. When the access group lists more than one role, Pega platform applies the most permissive settings across all the listed roles. Then what's the point of setting permissions for every single role that's in there? What's the point? Why even bother? You know, why even bother setting permissions for their other roles if the most permissive settings are given to all the roles anyway? What's the point? You're not making it very. You're not setting permissions for those other roles. You're not restricting those other roles. You know, it's like, oh, you want to deny them from running reports? Well, you just added them to a group where they can. So the permissions mean nothing when it comes to the access group. So it kind of blows my mind that they even come up with this. Why haven't they changed that to restrict permissions based off of the rules over the access groups? I don't know. I don't know why Unity, or not Unity, or why Pega even allows for that. I don't know. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It seems like a very major flaw that they really need to fix. So, um, there's no point in there's no point in having different settings for the listed roles because it doesn't matter if you add them into an access group. You know, and even if you add them into multiple different access groups, you know, the most permissive settings will go for any single one of them. So, even if you add, one role into like 3 different access groups, if they have like the worst settings ever, it doesn't really matter. They're going to get the best settings that are associated in that access group. If you put an admin role into that access group, you're giving everybody there in that access group admin privileges. It's like it doesn't make any sense to me. Um, so yeah. For example, the manager role has permission to run reports, but the user role does not. If the manager access group includes both the manager and user roles, then all members of the access group can run reports, including the users. Again, makes no sense to me. Access control for the case type is managed through 2 types of records that can be edited across the access manager. You know, I mean, at this point, there is no point in having a role. You might as well just have access groups, and that's it. The roles mean nothing. Permissions to those roles mean nothing if you add them into a access group and everybody has all the same permissions. You know, access control for the case type is managed through 2 types of records that can be edited from the access manager. Access the role to object, ARO, records are used to specify permissions for items of a specific class for members of a specific access group. Setting the access of role to object to no access indicates that the user is denied access. Okay. Um, and I mean, you could still add the person into that access group if you have the permissions to add them. So, not sure what this is really referring to too much, um, but we'll move on. Access deny records are used to override AROs to explicitly deny access in situations where regulations or policies require an explicit denial of permissions. Access deny records provide an extra layer of security when the uh, access of role to object record is set to no access. Denial of access to a class can also depend on permissions defined for each Pega instance at the system level. Access of role to object and access deny records are covered in more detail on an advanced topic. Again, not quite sure what the main issue here is or what they're really kind of going on about in this particular case because um, you know the access group is going to give the roles certain level of permissions anyway, so unless this is their kind of workaround, which I don't know, it feels off about that. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about the Access Manager. Okay, so Work in Process tab. Use the Work in Process tab to configure full access for instances of a specific case type. Okay. Tools tab. Use the Tools tab to configure access to Pega Platform tools such as the clipboard and live UI for end users. Use the Privileges tab to manage access to specific records such as flow actions and correspondence records. Full access. Full access setting grants the associated role permission to perform the task. For example, users who are authors can open new vendor cases. Conditional access. Conditional access allows developers to set permissions that depend on session or case data. For example, users who are managers can delete new vendor cases if the case is assigned to them. Access for a case type. You cannot set permission for a case type directly. If you grant access for all tasks associated with a case type, the full access icon is displayed on the case type. If you grant different access levels for the tasks associated with the case type, the conditional access icon is displayed on the case type. No access. The no access setting prevents an access group from performing an action. For example, the user access group is explicitly denied the ability to delete new vendor cases. Well, this makes me kind of question this though, because what happens when you add an administrator into the user? Then wouldn't that allow for all the users to be able to access everything again? Because it's based off of um, the most permissive settings across all roles. So sure, you could probably say like, hey, all the users in the user access group, cannot manage any of these. You can definitely go ahead and try to do that. No worries on that. But as soon as you maybe add in an administrator role that has all the permissions into the user, then wouldn't that change the access group's permissions? Maybe. So yeah. Um, Access control and system type. In on-premises systems, administrators can define the operator access and permission the user has to make changes to the system. Production levels control the types of permitted changes and specify the purpose of the environment. For example, during development, you may want to configure more permissive access control to users to support debugging. However, you also require a more restrictive access control on a production system. You grant permissions on a scale of 1 to 5, where the value corresponds to a possible production level as seen in the following table. Specify a value of 0 to deny the action. With the exception of no access control values, access is granted when the access control value is greater than or equal to the production level setting. Okay, so production level 5 is the production system. Stage 4 is the staging system. 3 is the quality assurance system. 2 is the development system. 1 is the sandbox system, and 0 is just deny the action altogether. So 1 is basically you're trying to figure out, like, would this actually kind of work? You're kind of playing around with it. You're trying to figure out if something might actually work out the way you want it to, that kind of thing. Then you hand it over to the devs to flesh out all the systems, make sure everything's working properly the way you want it to. Um, you know, get the code to work properly, so on and so forth. Then you hand it over to the quality assurance team to make sure that they test out the product and make sure that it's working properly. Send it back to the development team if there's any problems. If there's some code that's got messed up, or if it's not working the way that the people that tried to work on the sandbox didn't really want it to work that way. That's kind of what the quality is meant to do. Then they add it into the staging system to make sure that everything is kind of meant to work with like other subsystems and whatnot. Check it with if it's like working with other applications or something along those lines. You're basically you're checking it with like other part, you're checking it with other factors. You're making sure that it's um, you're it's working, not by just itself, but with everything also added in, right? And then, of course, you send it out to production. It's out there in the real world. It's being used by everybody. So, yeah, that's pretty much what the production system is all about. So, denial of access to the class can depend on the production level value 1 to 5 of your system, and whether certain access run rules evaluate to true. When you update an access control setting in the Access Manager, Pega platform updates the access role to object or access deny records with a value of either 0 or 5. Access these records directly to specify access control levels other than 0 or 5. And the Access Manager indicates the access level on the current system. For example, you can set the access control level to 2 for authors to delete instances of the case type. On a development system, the Access Manager indicates full access. On a production system, the Access Manager indicates no access. This avoids the need to reset permissions when mitigating an application throughout the development or release cycles. So now we check our knowledge. So based on the image of the Access Manager above, which 3 statements are true? So for those of you that are kind of curious, here's a fuller image there. So we have 2 access groups with administrator and security administrator. So Security administrator has no access whatsoever to the purchase request case type. The administrator has full access across all parts of the case type. You know, they open, run reports, modify, delete, view history, and perform. So, and they want me to choose 3, huh? All right. The security administrator role cannot perform any action on purchase request case types. That's true. Yeah, let me, reduce that size down. The administrator role can perform any action on purchase request case type. That's true. Members of the administrator access group can perform any action on purchase request case types. Okay, right. The administrator role cannot perform any action on, no. Security administrator role can perform any action on, nope. That's not true either. So it's those 3. See, and um, this is where it causes a problem, because if someone is given the role of security administrator and put into the administrator access group, then they can do everything here, even though technically they shouldn't. So yeah. All right, on to the module quiz. Okay, we have 4 options here, but we have 6 blanks to fill in. So we got 3 questions. So the record for the blank allows for the authentication of the user. The blank references one or more blank grant access to specific functionalities within the application, and each identifies one or more blank are associated with set of permissions. Yikes, that's okay. Well, I mean, we'll get through this. So, hey there, Roblox, how you doing there, bud? I'm doing okay. You know, as well as can be anyway. So record for the allows for the authentication of a user. The blank references one or more. Okay, I think, yeah, I do see a period there, so these are the end of sentences there, so um, yeah, we have a little bit more there. So um, yeah, I'm okay with the Roblox. You know, um, I kind of stated everything that, has been kind of going on already. So, you know, so I'm okay. No worries there. Let's see. Um, this is a little rough here. I don't know. This is... I'm having a little bit of difficulty trying to place each one in their respective bar here at this moment in time because I kind of... Oh boy. So, access group grant access to specific functionalities within the application, and each identifies one or more access roles, I believe. Access roles are associated with a set of permissions. Operator ID references one or more access roles. And the record for the operator record? I don't know. This doesn't feel right to me. Okay, let's do the feedback and yeah, okay, so I got the access groups and access roles good. It's just the first three here that I got wrong. And obviously, when I take this on during the certification, this would be this would be a wrong answer, obviously. So, but it would be silly if they added, it seems silly to me that they would add four of these here, not use them all. But then again, they might do that. So, they might pull that kind of stunt on you. So, okay, well, access roles is not working there. Same with the operator ID. Same with the operator record. So I'm assuming the record for the operator ID allows for the authentication of the user. The access rule references one or more operator records. I don't know. We'll move on and let's see what's going on that one. We'll come back to it. Okay. Guide the words to correct boxes, confirms the identity of the user, and verifies that the user is allowed access to an application, determines what data the user can view and what actions the users can perform. So, authentication is what confirms the identity, and authorization allows for what the actions the users can perform. So, there you go. And in human resources application, managers can create, view, and edit employee onboarding cases. Administrators have the additional ability to delete onboarding cases. How do you achieve this behavior? I mean, you can definitely try to modify the permissions, but again, it doesn't really matter if you're in the same access group. So we gotta kind of be careful with that. And even then, it doesn't. The access manager is talking about access groups, not roles. So this right here doesn't really work. So I don't believe this is the correct answer on this one right at the moment. In the Access Manager, configure additional access based on the ability to delete onboarding cases. Um, I don't think you're really needing that one either, so um, yeah, you pretty much want on the relevant access groups, configure the desired permissions. So, you don't want to deal with the operator records. Access Manager doesn't deal with the roles. Same with the conditional access. That's not the role of the Access Manager. So yeah, this is what you got there. What? um, um, hold on. What's this then? These are permissions based off of access groups. These are permissions here, there, guys. What are you talking about on this? Sorry, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and go, what are you talking about? Oh, Jesus. This particular section feels very unorganized right at this moment in time. You do not configure permissions in access groups. Are you sure about that? Because in the previous topic, see attached image, it really looks like you are giving certain permissions to the different access groups. Plus the roles in the access groups has all of the permissions that the best role has within it. So how do you determine where the permissions are even created? These two topics have been a mess. I don't know where permissions are really being created at this point. You say that um, access groups don't don't um, configure permissions. Roles change their permissions based on what access group they are in. And the access group permissions are changed based on the best permissions that are based on the role with the most amount of permissions. Sounds like a permission mess that really needs an overhaul. Um, uh, Add the picture in. There we go. Okay, then I have no idea which one that they're asking about, because the access manager isn't supposed to be changing the permissions of the roles. The access manager handles the access groups, not the roles. AK, case in point here, access groups. Administrator access group, author access group, manager access group, and user access group. They wouldn't have said access groups if these aren't meant to be the different groups, not the roles. If they meant that these are supposed to be access roles, then they should be saying access roles, not access groups. So, okay. It can't be this one. It can't be that one. So the only thing that I can think of that they are actually referring to is this one here. It's the only thing that I can think of. Okay. Again, access manager is dealing with access groups, not access roles. So this shouldn't be the right answer, but they might actually be setting it as the right answer. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Okay, let's check. Yeah, it's in the Access Manager, you can grant managers permission to create, view, and edit onboarding cases, and grant administrators permission to delete onboarding cases. But here's the thing: the Access Manager, you're showing the Access Manager is dealing with access groups, not access roles. So the answer to this question is also problematic because it is talking about the access manager dealing with access roles. However, based on the image that I'm going to use again, the manager or access manager is showing access groups, not access roles. You you set permissions for the access roles associated with a particular access group. I don't know, man. This is. I'm not sure what you are trying to do with these topics. I would recommend a evaluation to determine how to proceed, because you've just confused me completely. Moving on. Okay, so we've already learned that this one we had the, what was it, the access groups, access roles and access roles there, right? So, so we've kind of determined that. The record for the operator ID allows for the authentication of the user. The operator record references one or more access roles. No, not access roles. Okay. Well, operator record doesn't reference more than one operator ID, so that doesn't really make sense. And obviously, it's not access roles. It's not operator record references more than one operator record. That again, and that itself also doesn't really make any sense. So one can only assume that they're referencing more than one access group. Um, I don't know how. It feels to me like this question needs a little bit more in terms of like dialogue or something like that there to try to handle this question more. But alright. Alright, I need to get moving over to the Unreal Engine. I'm pretty sure that Blackheart's waiting for me patiently. So we're gonna need to close this down here real quick, but authentication and authorization. Oh, there we go. Module should be 100% now. There we go. All right. Oh, these topics are weird, man. I don't know. I'm probably gonna have some difficulty with this particular topic as we move forward as well. Um, it really makes no sense to me how you set permissions for the roles, but the access group pretty much overrides those permissions. Then what's the point of giving the roles certain permissions that you're going to basically override anyway based off the access group? It makes no sense to me why they do it that way. The roles themselves should have very specific permissions to them, and if you want a person to not, like if you want to make sure that a person cannot run reports, then then what's the purpose of, overwriting that if you're going to throw them into a group that allows for you running the reports? It doesn't make any sense to me. So um so I don't know. Not quite sure what Pega is doing in this particular application access section. They really need to rethink this, in my particular opinion. They really need to reevaluate this particular section because if you're allowing for people to have all access based off the access group, then it's like that access manager saying, hey, this particular access group, the administrator has, all these permissions. Well, guess what? Because the administrator inside that access group has all those permissions, then so does the user, according to your own words. So it makes no sense to me. I don't know. We're, like I said, I need to kind of move on from this. Um, I need to move on to the Unreal Engine. Uh, Blackbird's waiting for me, so we're gonna go ahead and close on down here. So, um, I mean, if you're a veteran, manager or whatnot, if you know more about, what Pega was trying to do with this particular topic, then please let me know. But to be honest, I don't even think they know what the heck they're doing. If this is if they're even kind of countering their own permission system. It again, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So, um, well, I sent some suggestions to them, so we'll see how they respond back when they get back to the office. But that's gonna be it for today's Pega certification session. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you appreciated it. Feel free to give a like and subscribe. Continue to follow me as we continue along with this path. But I need to move on to Unreal. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll catch you next time. But until then, take care. Have a good night. Stay healthy. Stay safe. And I'll catch you strangers next time.